to hear from you. The Home Secretary has said she will reverse part of the former Prime Minister's Illegal Migration Act, which had barred anyone arriving here illegally since March last year from being granted asylum, and earmarked them for removal to Rwanda. As we know, Rwanda, that scheme is gone. Yvette Cooper says the Home Office will resume processing asylum claims, even for those who've come to the UK illegally. The Shadow Home Secretary, James Cleverly, him again, has accused the government of giving an effective amnesty.
Labour has given an effective amnesty to thousands of asylum seekers who are banned under Conservative plans. And Labour's plans amount to doing less than we were doing when we were in government and merely changing the signs above a few desks at the Home Office with their so-called border command.
But there's more, because the government has decided to close the Bibby Stockholm barge as well. So that huge barge that was off the coast of Dorset will stop housing, there it is, stop housing asylum seekers from January next year. And this is a bit controversial because there was a suicide on board and there was an outbreak of COVID or whatever.
Legionnaires.
Legionnaires, sorry. What do you think of this, James?
I genuinely have not in my lifetime seen a selection of politicians from both sides of the House who appear to be utterly incompetent. So the Conservative policies, we've discussed on this show many times, the Rwanda policy, it wasn't a deterrent. It was going to cost a lot of money. They were hosing money all over the place. It was going to send a few people away when this is a problem of thousands, maybe tens of thousands, and confusing the difference between legal and illegal migration, genuine asylum claims and bogus ones.
So
and not
Rwanda wouldn't.
So, incompetence disagrees with
No,
that. But
so
hang on a second. Hang on. Let me finish.
No, but you've done a big sort of preload there.
I
have.
You did a massive
I have, but there is one more point I would like to make.
One more.
And the one more point is that then Labour come in. They are going to hose money in a whole selection of different ways. They have no alternative, and they're just getting rid of ideologically all the
I
Conservative
listened to that yesterday, and the audacity of James Cleverly. Oh, my goodness, to say that they're not doing anything. The Labour government have been in, 2 minutes? And already listening to... Yeah, 3 minutes. Yvette Cooper has actually listened to her. The grown-ups are back in charge. The grown-ups are now taking charge. They've scrapped the Rwanda. They've scrapped that. They're saving taxpayers' money by actually processing faster. They are now going to be knocking on doors of salons, the garages, the car washes. They're actually taking this seriously.
How do they deport people? When someone fails, how do they get them out? Because if they've not got a passport, where do you send them to?
Well, I think they're already beginning to send flights, she said yesterday, to Vietnam.
What, Kabul?
The ones that we do have returns agreements with.
If somebody comes from Afghanistan and they've got no right to stay, how do we send them back there?
I know, but I think what everyone is skipping here is that what she's saying is that actually the money that they're going to be saving is going to be going on the criminal organisations, the border control.
Well, that's true.
So we're saving a lot of money.
That's true, James.
We're saving a lot of money. They are tackling the
one point that you've made, which I agree with.
Get the criminals.
The one point that I agree with is the knocking on the doors, because there are hundreds of thousands. I think the estimate yesterday was between 800,000 and 1.2 million people are in this country, and people don't quite know who they are, whether they're legally here or not.
But literally, and ship has sailed, right?
Within the system. So we have to crack down on that. Mass incompetence, probably for the last 30 years. I blame Blair. I blame signing...
No, they were quite straight.
I blame Gordon Brown. I blame Cameron. I blame all
you
of
just
them.
blame the Tory party. You've just named Labour people. You blame the last 13 years of Tory incompetence.
Well,
no, but I'm saying you should only be blaming what's happened.
I'm sorry, no.
And the other thing that I really don't like is this emphasis on the small birds. We've just got this... It's like this demonisation.
It costs us a fortune.
OK, but
40,000 people. You can't ignore it.
No, we can't ignore it.
And also mainly men. Look at that. You know, that's.
But we need men. We need working-age men. We do. Our country
coming to the country like that.
Our country. That's because they need legal routes. We need legal and safe routes.
OK, let's go to Omar in Manchester. Hi, Omar.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
What do you think of this? Is Labour on the right track or the wrong track?
I think we first need to give Labour some time just to see if they can actually reduce the numbers, because the Tories were terrible at managing this problem. But I do think going soft on illegal migrants will actually make things much worse. I think cancelling Rwanda straight away was probably a mistake.
What?
Even though nobody should have been sent. Well, even if nobody was sent there, just to make it sound like it hasn't been fully cancelled.
Omar, sorry to interrupt. Three people were sent there, or 4 people, and they were paid £3,000 each to
volunteers,
go.
yeah.
So, and it costs us an estimate of 700
It's like
million.
saying you book a wedding. Oh, hang on, this analogy is going to go wrong. You book a wedding and you cancel it before the day, and everyone says, well, we wasted all that money on that wedding. OK, the wedding, it never happened, but had it started to happen, you would have had a lot of people. That was their idea.
Anyway.
It never happened. But, Omar, did you think it was going to work? Because both the panellists here think Rwanda was an absolute dead duck.
I actually believe it would have worked, and I think Rwanda can't be seen as like a short-term fix. I think you could have looked at Rwanda as a solution for the next 20 to 30 years.
It would have cost us billions. It would have cost the taxpayer billions. And it wasn't a deterrent.
But here's the point, Narinder, which I think, Omar, I would actually agree with you that I think just canning the policy straight away seems to me to be ideologically driven and driven by a politician who wants to make a statement as opposed to actually making the right decisions. The question I would have, though, is this is costing us billions anyway. And so how we deal with it and how we tackle it. The question for you, Omar, perhaps, is what would you want to see from a politician in order to make it's either sound like that they're doing something or the policy that's going to make a difference?
Well, you want Rwanda back, Omar, it sounds like.
I just think it shouldn't have been cancelled straight away because I think the EU and the rest of the world were looking at the UK to see if Rwanda actually did something.
No, they were laughing at us, Omar.
They were.
They were laughing at us.
I think they're laughing for other reasons.
They were laughing at Rwanda. It wasn't going to work.
Hang on, they're thinking of their own version, though.
I know, but I feel that actually, finally, the world will be looking at us saying, actually, they're doing something with decency. The Labour government are actually doing this in an adult-like way, decently.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Let's go to one more caller.
They haven't opened the doors at all.
Before I break, one more caller, Frankie in Bristol. Hi, Frankie.
Morning.
Are we on the right track here? We've cancelled Rwanda, we've cancelled Bibi Stockholm, and we're now, as a country, going to bring in a tougher border force.
When? When are we going to bring in this tougher border force? No way. This is going to be even worse. This is going to open the floodgates to let more and more in.
Frankie, how is it going to open the floodgates? How?
Well, we'll do. We won't send them back. This is a government that let them all in the 90s. We were flooded. We were flooded with Somalians.
We're not meant to send them back. We're not meant to send them back. We're meant to process them. Once we process them...
No, because half of them are fake anyway. Half of them are making out that
Well, then the Home Office will decide that, Frankie. The Home Office will decide it. Under the Tory government, the Home Office weren't actually even processing. That's how bad it was.
Frankie, did you think Rwanda was going to work or not?
I don't think it would have worked. No, I don't think it would have.
So you're out of ammunition in a way. There's no solution that you can see here.
Well, there is a solution. There is a solution to stop them coming in once and for all and send them straight back to where they've come from. We don't want them here. We don't need them here.
Once you start pushing their boats back, we had all this, didn't we? And then you find you get a bunch of people drown on a boat. It'd be terrible. The government couldn't survive that.
Well, I don't want to sound horrible, but that's not our problem, is it?
Frankie, it is our problem. Frankie, it actually is our problem.
You've got the RNLI saving them.
We've got legal obligations.
We do.
And actually, we don't let people drown in this country.
Let's pause. Frankie, thank you. After the break, more calls on this. Now your calls on whether the government is being too soft on asylum seekers. More calls, I should say. 0207 862 2222. We've heard from Omar and from, what was the name of the other caller? Frankie. So now we hear from Gary in Glasgow. Hello, Gary.
Good morning, everybody. I need to ask Narinder a question.
Okay. Is it a proposal of marriage?
No, it's not. Far from it.
She's already taken.
A few weeks ago, well, no, she may laugh, but she's going to listen.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, she said that 4 million people who voted for reform are all racist.
Yeah.
So then she was asked a question on the James Wells show. What happens? Some of them would have been. Some of them would have been black people. And she turned around and said that they're coconuts. How dare you, Narinder? How dare you?
Gary, what's this got to do with this, though? Let's talk about our Labour being too soft. Let's talk about that.
Gary, honestly, you're bringing on a discussion on a different programme.
Yes.
No, it's not. Because part of it, I voted reform. Reform.
But you voted reform for your reasons, and I've got my opinion. And it's let's respect each other's opinions. That's it.
Gary, give us in 10 seconds what you think the government should do.
Well, the government, what the government should do, they should definitely not do what they're doing at this moment in time, okay? They should
come on, Gary.
Come on, you can do better than that, Gary. You've waited ages.
Listen, you can do better than that.
You told us you
come
you
on,
told the
I want to
researcher you
hear.
were calling about that, so come on, what do you
I
tell
I think Gary's too scared to what he really wants to say.
Gary, here's the point. Is the Labour government being too soft on asylum? Yes. Next point, what should they do about it? So, Gary, what are you going to do?
Come on, Gary.
What am I going to do? I will bring back. I will make sure that that places like the BB Stockholm would stay.
Yep.
Okay.
That houses 500 people. We had 40,000 arrive last year. What are you going to do?
James, come on. He's on a list now. Come on.
Yeah. Okay then. But
number 2.
That would have to be a start. It's a big, massive problem. Okay. And
right.
Labour just want more people. Labour just from the Blair days, they just want more people.
Okay, Gary, I think we've run out of rail. Thank you very much. We just don't have it. We need. Someone's got to have an idea of something here.
Yes.
Michael in Dover. Hi, in Dover. There we are. Excuse me. You're really in the thick of it there, Michael.
Yeah, see it every day. Now, the trouble is, for decades, we've seen politicians of all persuasion never grasping the nettle and have no imagination or common sense. Why haven't they set registration points up in North Africa, process asylum seekers there? Those that are accepted are flown directly into the UK. It cuts out people traffickers completely.
What about the ones who aren't accepted? Yeah, when you're not accepted or you can't get to a registration point, you come over anyway.
No. If you're able to cross the Mediterranean and risk your life there, you're able to amble across Europe. And let's face it, the EU have no border checks on the Mediterranean coast that they have. They're allowed to assemble in Calais. They're given no basic human rights protection by the French, no accommodation, no food. They're living under the stars. And then they pay people traffickers to come across the channel. All that could be eliminated if you have registration points in North Africa. If they can make the effort to come across the Mediterranean and Europe and pay people
and you
traffickers,
fly them. Yeah, I don't know. Right.
Michael,
they can make their way to North Africa.
That sounds like some kind of plan, Michael. However, we could just create legal and safe routes.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
But you're saying in North Africa, and they've got to get to North Africa and then go here.
I think part of the point
here.
Part of the point here, though, which we've never really tackled, is that a lot of these people who are escaping from various different other countries, they'll arrive in Germany or Italy or Spain or Portugal or France, and then they still want to come to the UK.
Well, yes, why? Can anyone tell me? Because we keep telling ourselves we're rubbish and all that, but everyone wants to come here.
No, they don't always want to come here. I'm sick of people saying this thing that actually everybody wants to come here.
Well, that's what you said.
Actually, they don't want to come here.
They go all the way through the EU.
I never said that. Not everybody wants to come to the UK, but quite a few do.
Yes.
Not many, actually. This isn't the country everyone thinks it is, and everybody wants to come to this great country.
We had migration last year.
Actually, we've taken significant
We had legal
less.
migration of 1.4 million people last year, net migration of 635,000.
But why did
and then we had 40,000 plus people arriving on boats.
We needed a trade deal with India. Why?
We're the 5th highest country for asylum applications, I'm told, in the EU. So, Michael, do we talk to Michael or not? Sorry, Michael, I think we've done it. Yes, thank you. Emily in London, hi.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I'm not going to be as bold as the previous 2 callers, but I do personally believe that the government is being too soft on asylum seekers. I'm not against people coming to this country. Like, I live in East London, it's very multicultural, but I do think that the amount of money spent on housing them, can I ask the panel a question? Why aren't they stopping in France?
But Emily, they don't have to stop in France.
No, but why aren't they? Why don't they want to?
Because they might have family here. They may want to be coming and join family members. There's many reasons. So they don't have... And why should France take them all in,
maybe
Emily?
The French may be unfriendly to them.
Why should France take in all the immigrants? Why don't we do our legal obligations and take in our fair share as well?
Hey, you're confusing my point. I'm not saying we shouldn't take on in any immigrants. I'm saying the asylum seekers that are coming here risking their lives purely for what the government are giving them as a better
The
life.
government aren't giving anything. Actually, under Labour, they will be processed faster. They don't get given benefits. And actually, they're allowed to work. They're not going to be a tax
James,
burden.
it is, we're back on this thing of why don't they stay in France?
Yeah, but you
France
see,
is safe.
But the problem with processing faster is that you encourage more to come over. And I genuinely think that we've got a problem in France because people are being allowed to live in tent cities. And one of the reasons is that because the French don't necessarily treat people as well as we do here, then they'll go, thank you very much indeed, we'll go to Britain.
Yeah. Katie's in Dorset. Katie, you near the Bibby Stockholm? Because that was off the coast, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. So I'm about a couple of miles away from the Bibby Stockholm, and yeah, we are, the local community is ecstatic that it's actually closing down, but I'm really concerned that there's no plan B. Essentially, it appears since Labour has got into government, they have stopped any kind of deterrent. Rwanda was obviously a hugely costly gimmick that was, probably never going to work. But at the end of the day, we have to do something. We have nearly, 10,000 people on the housing list in Dorset. Some of the longest waiting time to see GPs.
Oh, yeah.
Portland was in the air.
But
it's just moving the problem around.
But Kate, it's not moving the problem around. What they're going to do is, if they do process them faster, which they will do, these people who are just in limbo, by the way, they're just in limbo, they're not allowed to work, they're receiving benefits, they're going to be allowed to work.
Right.
They're not going to be a tax burden.
They need a house, right?
No, and they'll be able to work.
Where are they going to live?
Where are they going to live?
Well, then they'll find somewhere to live. We need more houses. That's not their fault.
OK, that's a 10-year thing.
The bottom line is we just need more houses.
And the
Having said that, at least they're not a taxpayer burden. They're going to be allowed to work.
Well, let's see.
Well,
maybe
there's so many myths around this. I'm actually fed up of it.
Is the answer going to be in the end rejoining the EU, James?
Well,
then we may have to share the burden.
Given the flavour of government, given how they all voted, I think we are going to see huge pressures. Not yet, because they'll talk about and saying, we can't possibly, and that's not what people voted for, and da-da-da. But it will not surprise me if a lot of that rhetoric is reversed. And just as we've seen ideological decisions before, we're seeing them now. And I hear what you say, Narinder, but I'm afraid it doesn't compute because you say, just build more houses. The commitment that Labour Party have given to build more houses is undeliverable. Full stop.
What,
we will have this
They will
discussion.
eventually. But we can't just leave asylum seekers in limbo either. We can't leave them in limbo because it's costing us. So actually, they're being grown up about this, and I, for one, have so much faith in the Labour government.
All right, well, listen, I'm glad you're optimistic. Let's see what happens. We'll be discussing it, I'm sure, every day for the next 5 years. Not every day.
As it turns into more and more of a mess.
Well, let's see. Let's give them the rub of the green at the start and hope they can pull something off. Thank you, Kate. Thanks for all our calls. Got so many calls on that.